You use the word being. Can you explain what you mean by that? Being is the eternal, ever present one life beyond the myriad forms of life that are subject to birth and death. However, being is not only beyond but also deep within every form as its innermost invisible and indestructible essence. This means that it is accessible to you now as your own deepest self, your true nature. But don't seek to grasp it with your mind. Don't try to understand it. You can know it only when your mind is still. When you're present, when your attention is fully and intensely in the now, being can be felt, but it can never be understood mentally. To regain awareness of being and to abide in that state of feeling realization is enlightenment. When you say being, are you talking about God? If you are, then why don't you say it? The word God has become empty of meaning through thousands of years of misuse. I use it sometimes, but I do so sparingly. By misuse, I mean that people who have never even glimpsed the realm of the sacred, the infinite vastness beyond that word, use it with great conviction, as if they knew what they are talking about, or they argue against it, as if they knew what it is that they are denying. This misuse gives rise to absurd beliefs, assertions, and egoic delusions such as my or our God is only true God, and your God is false, or Nietzsche's famous statement, God is dead. The word God has become a closed concept. The moment the word is uttered, a mental image is created, no longer perhaps of the old man with a white beard, but still a mental representation of someone or something outside you, and yes, almost inevitably a male someone or something. Neither God nor being nor any other word can define or explain the ineffable reality beyond the word. So the only important question is whether the word is a help or hindrance in enabling you to experience that toward which it points. Does it point beyond itself to that transcendental reality, or does it lend itself too easily to becoming no more than an idea in your head that you believe in, a mental idol? The word being explains nothing, but nor does God. Being, however, has the advantage that it is an open concept. It does not reduce the infinite invisible to a finite entity. It is impossible to form a mental image of it. Nobody can claim exclusive possession of being. It is your very essence, and it is immediately accessible to you as the feeling of your own presence, the realization I am that is prior to I'm this or I'm that. So it is only a small step from the word being to the experience of being. What is the greatest obstacle to experiencing this reality? Identification with your mind, which causes thought to become compulsive. Not to be able to stop thinking is a dreadful affliction, but we don't realize this because almost everybody is suffering from it. So it is considered normal. This incessant mental noise prevents you from finding that realm of inner stillness that is inseparable from being. It also creates a false mind-made self that casts a shadow of fear and suffering. We will look at it all in more detail later. The philosopher Descartes believed that he had found the most fundamental truth when he made his famous statement, I think, therefore I am. He had in fact given expressions to the most basic error, to equate thinking with being and identity with thinking. The compulsive thinker, which means almost everyone, lives in a state of apparent separateness. in an insanely complex world of continuous problems and conflict, a world that reflects the ever increasing fragmentation of the mind. Enlightenment is a state of wholeness, of being at one and before at peace, at one with life in its manifested aspect, the world as well as with your deepest self and life unmanifested, and one with being. Enlightenment is not only the end of suffering and of continuous conflict within the without, but also the end of dreadful enslavation to incessant thinking. What is incredible liberation this is. Identification with your mind creates an opaque screen of concepts, labels, images, words, judgments, and definition that blocks all true relationship. It comes between you and yourself, between you and your fellow men and women, between you and nature, between you and God. It is this screen of thoughts that creates the illusion of separations, the illusions that is there is you and a total separate other. You then forget the essence of essential facts that underneath the level of physical appearance and separate forms, you are one with all that is. But forget that's why it does crossword puzzles and build atomic bombs. You have no interest in either. Let me ask you this. Can you be free from your mind whenever you want to? Have you found the off button? You mean stop thinking altogether? No, I can't. Except maybe for a moment or two. Then the mind is using you. You are consciously identified with it. So you don't even know when you are its slave. So almost as you are, if possessed without knowing it. And so you take the possessing entity to be yourself. The beginning of freedom is the realization that you are not the possessing entity, the thinker.